Hi everybody, welcome to our TNA and More show of Heel Heat. My name is George Coles. This is my tag team partner, Waldo Von Erich.
Thanks, Fritz. Uncle Fritz. I know. Gary Rhodes, everybody.
And before we get into the show, Gary had something he wanted to mention.
Well, today we had a passing of a true American icon. Not a wrestler, but someone that deserves to be mentioned. General Norman Schwarzkopf.
Someone that we have the utmost respect for. The hero of the first Gulf War, the leader of the Allied forces during that time, and a very decorated soldier in an army.
On a somber note, we salute you. Thank you for everything you've done for us.
And we mean no disrespect by sitting down during the salute. You just wouldn't see us if we stood up.
Exactly.
So if anybody out there is military, that's not a disrespect thing. But we dedicate this show to General Norman Schwarzkopf, Stormin' Norman. We're coming out storming out the gates on the TNA show.
Segway.
With one of my favorite wrestlers, and everybody else's as well, Bully Ray coming out. First off, we forgot to mention it's open fight night, so everybody comes out. Bully Ray's calling out Hulk Hogan, not for a fight, for a sit-down or a talk.
Just want to talk to him. It's open talk night.
Terry.
Mark. But Terry doesn't come out. Brooke comes out.
They play his music.
Oh, yeah. He's probably somewhere else doing Bubba the Love Sponge's wife or something. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, Brooke comes out and basically says, he knows. He knows. Which we all know because we all seen the video of them kissing last week.
Who told him?
Who knows what? It was a poorly acted angle.
It was, and it's not the fact of Bubba's talents or even Brooks. It's bad writing. Yeah. I mean, you can't fault. And don't get me wrong, we'd love to fault Brooke, but to be honest with you, it wasn't her fault.
I'd love to do something else to Brooke.
Does it begin with an F too?
It sure does.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
Ends with a K. Middle letters are U and C.
Oh wow! Check you out, you perv. Anyways, we come off of that. They're bickering back to the back. And out next comes Austin Aries. And he calls out Bobby Roode.
But he says he's not going to do it right then.
No, a match for Roode and Aries is only good enough for the main event.
Which is absolutely true, because they're two of the best wrestlers they got in the company, and two of the best wrestlers in the business at this point.
I think so too.
But I agreed it's set up for a match later on. But our first official match, Samoa Joe called out the big member of Aces and Eights, which is believed to be Mike Knox.
I'm pretty sure it's Mike Knox. I don't know. That's just my opinion of it. Mike Knox was a pretty big guy. And he just looks to be
even beefier.
A little bit beefier, which I've heard he did chunk up a little bit. Because he was chunking up when he left WWE.
Right. And They tease Mike Knox or whoever he is getting his mask pulled off, but Aces and Eights runs out and stops it from happening.
Well, the thing is, Joe was taking like 10 minutes to take the mask off.
Well, you knew that.
Well, exactly. So we knew there was not going to be a mask removal tonight.
And then for the second time in the night, open fight night is not used for fighting. It was open bro night.
It was a bro off.
Bro off between Robbie E. and Jesse Goddard. And they did their little thing. Robbie E. did a dance. Jesse did a pose off. Jesse has one hell of a physique to him. If he ever gets his in-ring capabilities down, he's going to be a good talent.
I think so too. And the surprise of it was that Big Rob Terry.
Oh wait, we got one more entry.
Oh wait, and he comes out and
Bigger Rob,
which he kind of steals the show from the two.
Does his pose off with a little bit of Magic Mike-esque dancing.
Exactly, and walks off and, kind of a little cocky smartass. But you know what? I like this segment, and you're probably going to give me shit for it, but it was decent, It wasn't like...
No, it was entertaining. And
well, the thing I liked about it, because the guys they stayed in character, but they were themselves.
Yeah.
I liked that.
I mean, the thing, we give Jesse shit. I think we even gave him on the end of the year our worst wrestler of the year. But the guy has a presence, and he's got a hell of a build. If he once he puts everything together, it's kind of like The Miz.
Well,
The Miz started off as shitty, but it took him a while to get it together. And when he did, he went off. And then I've been a fan of the two Robbies, Robbie E and Robbie T, for a while.
Well, Jesse, you know, we did not give him the benefit of the doubt. He is greener than baby shit.
Right.
And that does hold him account for a lot of this. Because he's never been a wrestler before. He was an actor, a reality star from a show that we never watched. Yeah. But, you know, I like this segment. I thought it was a decent segment. And you're not going to hear me be as negative on this as I was on the Raw show. This show here, I mean, was a lot better, which we'll get into it later on.
Yeah. And talking about green, two guys that aren't green, but one that smokes a lot of green.
Ooh.
Rob Van Dam called out Christian York. The backstage segments beforehand had Kenny King and Christian York talking, and Kenny King said, "Yo, he's going to call me out. He's going to call me out." So when he calls out Christian York, kind of, sticks it to Kenny King. They had a decent, serviceable match. I mean, it wasn't nothing special. I kind of expected better from the two of them.
I did too. It looked like that finally the ring rust has caught up to York from, not being on television for a while. And, well, he's been back, but, everybody's going to have that shit match, and this was that shit match.
Rob Van Dam had to smoke homegrown before going out there.
Exactly.
It's basically what it is. And speaking of smoking something, our question of the week from last week was, what do you guys think of the return, the 1-3-13 return segments bringing back Sting? And we have some answers from some of our friends. The first one's from our friend Paul over at the Deadly Sings. Sting's been out for what, like a month? Doing the whole 1-3-13 thing is just kind of a waste of time. That kind of thing should be saved for someone new coming in. And we also got an answer from our friend Joshua Adams, 1044. I love Sting and always been a fan of his, and he's put over so many guys in the business. I'd have him come in after about 6 months or so just to let him relax a little and have him come out and be the mastermind behind Aces and Eights, since no one is expecting him to be the big boss. It was me all along.
I like that.
Both good points. Both of them, as you could see, are saying that Sting hasn't been off the air enough for him to be granted a huge comeback like this. It's different, like when they do this same thing for the Ultimate Warrior, Undertaker every year, because Undertaker takes most of the year off, so it is a big build up for his return. Sting, like they said, have only been off for a few weeks and maybe a month or two, and they're bringing him back already. In my opinion, I don't like it. I agree with Paul. It should have been somebody new coming in, or maybe even Abyss's return.
My opinion is a little different. You knew it was going to be Sting. I mean, there's no other. That's the biggest name the company has. But if they're going to do it right, which I've seen in the promos, they're doing the old makeup. If they're going to get rid of the Joker, the Joker Sting, I'm for it. I mean, like I said, he hasn't been off TV long enough. But if we're going to get any kind of closure or get the big wheels moving on the Aces and H thing, it's going to have to be Sting.
Yeah. In that respect, it does make some sense. But I just think, like that's been pointed out from them, that it's too soon, that they didn't sell it long enough. But that happens in wrestling. Now, our question of the week for this week isn't specifically about this show. This is our TNA and More show, and we've mentioned other things on the show. We've mentioned NWA World Championship changes. One of the companies we mentioned the most other than TNA is Ring of Honor. Well, Ring of Honor does do a weekly television show. It's taped a few weeks ahead of time, which is why we've been hesitant to review it in the past, because the spoilers are out months ahead of time. But the question of the week is, would you like us to add the Ring of Honor TV show review to this? To give us more depth of what we're covering on the TNA and More show? Or would you like us to stay the way we are, where we mention only the big things that happen in Ring of Honor? Let us know what you think about that. Put it on our Twitter. We have a survey on our Facebook if you want to answer it there. Also, you can put it down where?
Down there.
Right down there in the comments. And let us know what you think about that, if you'd like us to see us cover it, or if you wouldn't, or you think we're doing enough coverage on Ring of Honor.
Next, we're going to get back to some wrestling. Daniels and Cat, Daniels comes down and cuts a promo on AJ. And calls AJ out.
For open fight night.
Daniels versus Styles
One last time.
Exactly. And out comes
AJ Styles.
kind of looked like Kaz, but yeah, AJ Styles. This was a very entertaining part of the show. I like the funny parts of the show, you know. And it was funny. Then Chavo and Hernandez come out
and call out Daniels and Kaz was wearing all of AJ's gear.
He was trying to do the handstand. It was hilarious. The whole time. These two guys are gold. Vince McMahon has to be kicking himself in the ass because if he had this talent, just those two, the sky's the limit for them guys.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think Christopher Daniels is as good as he's ever been, and for a long time he's been one of the best wrestlers in TNA. Also in Ring of Honor when he was there, he was one of the best wrestlers there. And Kaz is coming right along with him. Kaz is, ever since they threw Kaz in Fortune, his character has developed so much that it's light years away from what he was when he was the X Division champion all them times.
What they remind me of is the very first Shawn Michaels Triple H DX, the originals, where Daniels was like Michaels. He was the established veteran, and Kaz is a veteran too, but
he was never a main eventer.
Exactly. And with the help of Daniels, Kaz is becoming a main eventer. I see it. I see a bright future for him as long as they do it right.
The only thing I didn't like in this match is Chavo and Hernandez go over, which I don't like them. They're not getting over with the fans. They're not doing anything on the show. They're wrestling really super lazy.
Well, like I told you during we were watching it, I was like, Vince could do a lot with Hernandez if he gave a damn, and that's what pisses you off. There's a lot of guys out there on the indie circuit, and even on Ring of Honor, that if they had the chance or the opportunities that Hernandez has had here, they'd skyrocket. And it's just like Hernandez has gotten lazy.
And speaking of opportunities, Aces and Eights tried to recruit a new member and gave him some opportunities with some questionable looking women. They tried to recruit Ken Anderson. The asshole.
You're probably going to shit on this, but I think it's good for Anderson to get on the Aces and Eights bandwagon because at least it's putting them on television and it's showcasing them. Anderson is one of the guys that I've always liked. When he was Mr. Kennedy, I used to work at a prison, and a lot of the guys would watch wrestling when it was on regular network television. And we'd always joke around. He was one of the most over guys in there, and you're talking about a building that holds 1,000 guys, and everybody was just loving Anderson. Or Kennedy.
I did like his character. I've grown to dislike him because of what TNA's done with the character. And that's not a knock on the guy or his talent, but TNA is doing too many face heel turns with the guy, and it's made me not care. Exactly. I really don't care, and maybe something like this freshens up his character. Maybe this is his DDP moment when DDP didn't accept the NWO invitation and skyrocketed him into the main event, which Anderson has been in the main event, but
he's been their champion. But look at him. I mean, he's never on television. And when he does show up on television, they job him.
And you don't know if he's face or heel because they switch him so goddamn much.
I mean, he was very, last year, a little over a year ago, he was over as hell. I mean, he could have been the face of the company if they played their cards right. Mm-hmm. I mean, the whole asshole shirts, everything like that, it was gold. And him and Kurt Angle were putting on great matches.
Yeah. He's a great talent, and I really hope they start doing more with him, to be honest with you. And hopefully this is a springboard to bigger and better things for him.
Well, you talk about talent. The next match we were talking about was Gail Kim comes out and she calls out Miss Tessmacher. I thought it was an awesome match. What did you think?
I think it's one of the better matches of the night. Definitely better than Rob Van Dam versus Christian York. Even better than Joe versus the Aces and Eights member. I think it's probably the second best match of the night. I really liked how they worked together. Tess is someone that we've been hard on, no pun intended. But because of her work, she tends to botch a lot.
She does. The thing is, they put her with a true professional. Gail Kim, doesn't get the credit she deserves. I think she is probably in our era one of the best women's wrestlers. Oh, yeah. Because she's not a botcher, and she makes whoever she faces look like $1 million.
Would you say she's in the level with a Tara or a Beth Phoenix?
Honestly, I think she's better than them. I honestly do. I think if it wasn't for her, Tara wouldn't have looked so good. If it wasn't for her, Beth wouldn't have looked so good when she went to WWE. Uh, I've always thought Gail Kim was. I mean, she debuted in WWE and won the women's title the first time.
Yeah, that don't mean nothing.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, that's how good,
Santino debuted and won the IC title.
Exactly. But you know what? And they treated her like him. When she came back to work for Vince, they should have given her a women's title run or a Divas title run. Just for, one match. Just something.
Yeah.
They shit on her the whole time she was there.
And it shows what WWE thinks of women's wrestling, divas wrestling, whatever the hell you want to call it. They don't give it enough respect. Although this week's match, the 6-woman, whatever it was pretty good.
Well, I want to bring something up. We got a little extra time. I read on an interview, had an interview with Michelle McCool today, and she was talking about Melina, whatever you want to call her. They had put on a match one time, and they got shit on because the match was too good. I mean, you were damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Exactly. That's the thing. Well, they had Finlay then.
Yeah.
Finlay, if one of these companies would bring Finlay in.
He loves to fight.
He does. But the thing is, he's a great trainer. He made them women wrestlers look like $1 million. And I think if one of the companies would smarten up, pick him up, just as a trainer again, he don't mind.
Speaking of looking like $1 million.
Oh yeah.
Our main event was 2 guys that absolutely look like $1 million every time they step in the ring. Bobby Roode versus Austin Aries. And they did not disappoint. They wrestled heel versus heel. And they pulled out every dirty trick in the book. Everything from thumbing each other in the eyes, holding the pants when they rolled each other up, going for the chair, faking injuries. I mean, it was tremendous.
I always love a heel versus heel match because of things like that. It's very entertaining. You get a little laugh because they're trying to screw each other over. But these 2 guys are the best 2 heels that company has right now, because Bully Ray right now is a face. I know I hate to break that to you, but he's a face now. And so right now those 2 are the best they got.
I thought the match was really good. The spot at the end where Earl Hebner's kind of
going nuts
on them. Hey, you guys broke every rule in the book. One more broken rule and I'm going to disqualify you both. And they both kick him in the gut and throw him out the ring. I just thought that was hilarious. Then they both go for the chair at the same time and start wrestling over it, which brings out Super Hardy.
Oh, God.
And Super Hardy comes and clears a ring like he cleared off a line of Coke off his mirror.
Or the hooker's ass. Anyways, I honestly think that when they do this triple threat, because that's what they're building up to. I mean, we're not stupid. I think that was going to steal the show. I think that's going to be one of the biggest matches they have this year. It's probably at Genesis.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard for TNA to beat that match because you've got 2 of the best heels. And I will say this about Hardy. When he's with talent, he acts like talent. And he's got 2 of the best guys to work with. His 2 matches with Roode and Aries, even though we didn't care for the outcome, were awesome matches.
Yeah. And even the ladder match you just had with Aries.
Fantastic. So these 2 are going to elevate him just like a line of Coke. Drug. A drug reference.
Yeah, it would have been funnier if it wasn't just mentioned 2 minutes
ago.
Well,
I mean, with
him,
he probably forgot. Well, he forgot anyways.
It's okay, Matt.
Really? I'm not. Well, I always thought Matt Hardy was better than Jeff anyways.
It's okay, Matt. Twirl around on the indies.
Anyways, I think it'll be a good match. Do you?
I think it'll be a hell of a match. I think the 3 of them together is a good dichotomy, and I like the where they're going to go with that in this 3-way feud. I kind of dig 3-way feuds in my opinion. I've liked them. I'm an ECW fan, so I'm a fan of the 3-way dance, which is the beginning of the 3-way feuds.
Now, what do you think they're going to do? Do you think it's going to be a regular triple threat match, or do you think it's going to be a ladder match? Or
it'll have to be a regular one at first. Maybe a no DQ or something to that effect.
Yeah, I would go at least no DQ, street fight. Not street fight rules, but you know what I'm saying.
But overall, what did you think of the show?
I thought this was one of the best ones they've had in a while. And coming off of a shitty Raw, I told you beforehand I was going to go off on it because we got some time. The Raw this week was absolutely atrocious, and this here saved my belief in wrestling because I was so ashamed of that show. It made me ashamed of being a wrestling fan, and this show here brought it back. It was a second coming of wrestling.
Anyway. I liked the show overall. It was a good show, 10 times better than the past couple shows they put off. Way better than the Monday Night Raw show they put off. I wasn't as hard on Raw as Gary was, and from some of the comments I read on our WWE show already, seems that you guys agree a lot more with Gary than you did with me. I had some things I took away that I really liked from the show, which made it not horrible for me, and I knew going in it was going to be shit. But basically, that's about all I really have to say about this. Is there anything you want to add?
I want to add one more thing so we got a little time. Talking about the women's wrestling division. Honestly, if they keep it up, it's going to really step it up, and I'm really hoping it does. I mean, we've been hard on women's wrestling for almost since the beginning of the show because it's not that we're against it. It was just it sucked.
What we're being given.
Exactly. You feed me shit, I'm going to tell you I'm being fed shit, and they're actually starting to feed us steak, and I'm enjoying it. How about you?
I agree with you. I like the wrestling that's being put on both shows by the women, especially this week, and that's one of the reasons I wasn't so negative on Raw, is I like the women's match. But basically, that's all I got to say about the show. Anything else you need to add, GR?
That's it.
My name is George Coles.
I'm Gary Rhodes.
And this has been Heel Heat.